The Shrine, directed by John Newts, who later went on to make the excellent horror movie The Cleaning Lady, is a horror film that blends investigative journalism with supernatural terror, but ultimately struggles to fully deliver in its intriguing premise. The story follows two female journalists and a photographer who travel to Europe to investigate a string of mysterious disappearances. What begins as a routine expose quickly spirals into something far more sinister as they find themselves caught in a battle against a form of evil they never anticipated. It's a strong setup on paper, tapping into familiar folk horror and cult driven narratives, and the film does a decent job of building early intrigue. Atmospherically, the shrine has its moments. There are a handful of generally creepy scenes scattered throughout, with an eerie fog and unsettling imagery that hint at a much stronger film lurking beneath the surface. The final 30 minutes, in particular, are where things pick up significantly. The tension ramps up, and the film leans fully into its supernatural elements. While effective at times, these sequences feel heavily inspired, if not outright derivative, of The Exorcist, which takes away some of the impact. Unfortunately, the film is held back by several noticeable flaws. The acting, especially from the two female leads, is fairly mediocre and lacks the emotional weight needed to ground the increasingly intense narrative of the movie. This makes it harder to stay invested as the story escalates. Additionally, while the film is supposed to be set in Poland, it's quite obvious that it was shot in America using largely American actors. This disconnect creates a sense of artificiality that pulls you out of the experience, making the setting feel less authentic and more like a missed opportunity. Overall, The Shrine is a mixed bag. It shows flashes of potential, particularly in its final act and visual atmosphere, but is ultimately let down by uneven performances and a lack of cohesion in the setting. Fans of slow burn horror might still find something to appreciate in his film, but it never really reaches the level of quality that John Nwetz would later achieve with the movie The Cleaning Lady. Overall, this is an okay movie. This is an okay movie to watch when there's nothing else to watch. But I also need to say that, as I said previously in my review, that this movie, mainly towards the end, it borrows too much from the original Exorcist movie. While it's still filmed very well, it's just obvious that they copied The Exorcist in a few scenes towards the end. And so for my review for this movie, I would give it a straight down the middle 2.5 stars out of 5. This is just to say that it's an okay movie.